It's time to break out the old upset alert meter. Scale of 1 to 10, how concerned am I for the favorites in these games? And we'll talk about the game we're going to be at, Florida, Georgia. We did the full game breakdown. It's available on the channel if you want it. But I'm thinking, what path does Florida have? Like, what has to happen for them to win this game? The thing about rivalry games is it's not that there are never upsets, but the path to winning a rivalry game rarely includes your opponent overlooking you or your opponent not being up for you, which is the case in some other weeks. But rivalry games, you at least assume both teams are up. Both teams are fully focused. So if you win, probably due to other reasons. So if Florida wins this thing, Graham Mertz goes off, or maybe Georgia really can't operate like they're very confident they can. And I promise you, very confident they can without Brock Bowers. They didn't take a lead until the fourth quarter of the Auburn game. South Carolina led them 14-3 at the half. They didn't pull away from Vandy last week. Now, Georgia fans have reasons they could give you for all that, and maybe they're all valid. I'm just saying, once you start to get a body of work, and I can look and poke holes here, and here, if I'm looking for an upset, that's all I got. What else am I going to do? Am I going to tout Florida losing to Utah early in the year? Getting spanked by Kentucky? No. I'm looking at their win against South Carolina, looking at the fact they won against Tennessee at home, and then I can nitpick Georgia. Florida, last two games, 38 points, 41 points. So anyway, the line on this thing at FanDuel is 14.5. My concern, my upset meter's at about a 6 on this game, because I think Carson Beck is going to play or have an opportunity to play at the highest level he's played at all year. They're going to put him in position to. Georgia's not going down to Jacksonville to hide Carson Beck. I can promise you that. And so whether they win or lose, it'll largely be on the shoulders of Carson Beck. But I also think they feel like they've got guys on that roster, receivers and elsewhere, to more than make up for the slack that Brock Bowers leaves. If they don't, Florida will end up being right in this game at the end of the fourth quarter. And I think Florida can be competitive anyway. I don't think this is going to be a blowout. But I'm putting about a 6.5 on the upset alert meter there. What about this game in Lawrence, Kansas? What about Oklahoma going on the road? They got Bedlam in 2 weeks. They got Oklahoma State, last one for the foreseeable future, in 2 weeks. But now they're a 9.5-point favorite on the road at Kansas. Their last two games, obviously, they beat Texas by 4. They had to come and beat, I think they came from behind. Did they come from behind with the UCF game? They beat them by 2. No, I don't think they came from behind. They beat them by 2. They had a bye week in between there. So, at least lately, hadn't exactly been pulling away from teams. Are they going to pull away from Kansas? We know that Jalen Daniels is not starting at quarterback for them. Oklahoma's allowing the fewest points per game that program has allowed in the last 20 seasons. So we asked all spring, summer, is Brent Venables' defense really going to be Brent Venables' defense? Yeah. Yes, it is. They've held the opponent under 400 yards in 6 of 7 games. So if they score early, if it looks like they're clicking offensively, you may be in for a long day. Kansas was -2 turnovers last week. And sometimes, as you know, with that whole Clemson-Miami dynamic a couple of weeks ago, that may set you up for a very disproportionately tilted result the following week. If they come home where they've been pretty good at home, Oklahoma has lost 5 of their last 7 in Big 12 play on the road, and they invert the turnover dynamic, that's how you get the upset here. My nervousness, my upset meter level is also at a 6.5 for this game. I lean Oklahoma solidly, but 6.5. Anything can happen up there. Brigham Young is at Texas. No one's talking about this. You're actually talking about the Texas quarterback situation more than the game itself this weekend. You're talking about the fact that Malik Murphy looks like he's going to start more than who he's going to start against. And for decent reason, Brigham Young hasn't done a whole lot this year to catch your eye. This is a 4 on the upset alert meter for me. I think it would be more vulnerable a spot for Texas had they not struggled last week. But they almost got beat by Houston last week. So Quinn Ewers goes down, they almost get beat. That grabs your attention, is what it does. So you come home, and I can guarantee that coaching staff's dialed in because they know they got one more game to get things right with their backup before Kansas State comes to town. And a rejuvenated Kansas State, might I add, comes to town. So I'm at a 4 on the upset alert meter here. The other thing is, for all the talk about the quarterback position, there's some other things that haven't felt quite right with Texas. They've done some different stuff in the secondary, a little bit softer. They've struggled with health at their pass rush. And so if those dynamics are still a problem, and for whatever reason, Malik Murphy just plays average or struggles with turnovers, and you let BYU come in there, Keaton Slovis just needs one game, just needs to perform at a high level one game. If you can't get home and you can't affect him, he's got the arm talent. If you're giving him what Texas has been given in the secondary, they can make enough plays. They got good enough players to keep it well within 18.5. So I'm going to put a 4 on it and keep a close eye. Ohio State at Wisconsin. Yes, they're going to play a game this week. No, you're not just going to get to sit at home Saturday and scan your message board if you're an Ohio State fan and look for updates on Michigan. There actually is a game against a fairly formidable opponent and especially a formidable head coach in Luke Fickell this week. Ohio State is a 14.5-point favorite at FanDuel right now. At FanDuel, they are the second odds-on favorite to win the Big Ten right now behind Michigan. Wisconsin, for the record, is number 3, albeit a distant 3. But Wisconsin is still the next team up there. Ohio State has 35 straight wins against unranked opponents. I don't have JP poll data because it doesn't go back that far. The thing about Ohio State that gives me a lot more confidence is I fully think they could go score 23 points and win this game. That may be enough. So my upset alert meter is at a 5 because I worry about distraction. They may not be distracted at all. They may be totally locked in, focused. But this Michigan thing has sucked a lot of oxygen out of the room up in the Big Ten. And players care about it, even though they say they don't. Coaches absolutely care about it, and they won't even say they don't. They're not lying about it. They do care about it. Are they locked in? They're locked in. They should be okay here. Slugfest of a game. Braden Locke at quarterback for Wisconsin is not my focus here. He needs to not lose that game for them. But Braylon Allen's got to just have a Lions performance at running back, and Wisconsin's got to step up. They got 5 passing touchdowns this year. That's the fewest in FBS. So quarterback's probably not going to be where it's at. Turnovers, really ugly game. Run the ball, do really well in the red zone offensively, keep them out of the end zone defensively, and let the chips fall where they may. I'm putting a 5 on the upset alert meter for that game.